General Services meeting together today at July the 22nd, 2019 at 12 o'clock. We have four items on the agenda. The first one is approval of agreement with Sunny Ray Enterprises for construction of a new water transmission main on Hedberg and Boyd Avenues. Who's going to talk about this? Oh, there you are. Okay, go ahead.
All right, thank you for having me this morning. I'm here to approve the new 12-inch water main, new water transmission main for construction on Hedberg and Boyd Avenue. We recently received several bids back for a new transmission line on Boyd and Hedberg Avenue. The goal of this project is to extend a new transmission main from the Elm Street booster down to 23rd Street to improve flows in the area. This is the first stage of a multi-stage project that'll happen over the course of several years. This first stage went out to bid, and we received multiple bids back that were very competitive. We received one back from Sunray Enterprises for the award of $344,689 for the base bid. We'd also like to include the options of the service replacement for $41,800 for a total of $38,389,489. We'd also like to include a 10% contingency for any unexpected delays within the project. It's a unique area out there with the high and low pressure zone with the booster station. We have multiple services that are on the high pressure zone that do not need to be on the high pressure zone, which this transmission line will ultimately eliminate. It'll remove about 60 services off the boosted zone to where it would make that booster station last a little bit further in the future until we can get a tank up there and a separate booster station. And with that, I'll stand for any questions you may have.
Okay, any questions?
Yes.
Dan?
Thank you, Ron. So Kyle, are you going to let those people know they're off the booster zone?
Yes, we will. Ultimately, they won't be out the booster zone right away. They'll be, it'll take some time to get transferred over. So once we get the transmission main in, we'll have to make contact with the 60 residents there, and we'll have to get in and remove those pressure reducers in the buildings.
Okay.
Which will take some time. So it's not something that'll happen right away once we get those switched over, but it will happen in time. Hopefully we get to them this year, but it may not.
Okay, so is that cost in this budget item?
It is not in this base budget item, no. That is just for the service replacements. That'll be in the future, and those will be step by step. Those will be very small costs per household, and it'll be individual because we'll do blocks at a time.
So they'll know their showers aren't going to be as high intensity.
And actually, they shouldn't see much of a difference with the pressure reducers that we found within the area. It reduces them right around to 75 PSI.
Okay.
When they get onto the lower zone, it'll bring them right within that range, plus minus 5 pounds.
Cool.
But we will let them know. We're planning to send letters out of construction, letters out for notice of construction this week. And then we'll send letters out later on when we start hitting those individual houses.
Cool. I noticed you budgeted $1 million for this, and yet all the bids came in pretty lower than that. Can you explain why there was such a difference between the engineer's estimate and the
Absolutely.
actual bids?
The engineer's estimate was right around $410,000 for this project. This line item budget was originally for the Hutter transmission line. That was the goal for this year, was to put the transmission line out for our new well. When we started doing research for the Hutter transmission line, we came into some questions with ITD on where they were going to put the 95 bypass. We also got information back from Harbs that they may be interested in putting a transmission line at the same time. So we decided to hold back on that project until next year and move this one forward. So we basically flip-flopped those projects because that one was going to take a little bit more time and coordination.
So what was the budget next year going to be for this?
The next year's budget is $1 million, or for this budget right here, would be about $500,000.
Okay, so we're still
Yes.
close. All right, that was just a curious thing. And when you say that Harbs is going to be putting in something, you're just going to share the same ditch, not the same pipes, right?
Correct.
Excellent.
Yep, I hope so.
I do think it's important that, that in your history here, it said that we unfortunately can no longer guarantee that we can meet peak fire demand at the ends of Fernand Hill Road in East Harrison. I think that's really serious and important that we get this done. Have you worked with Sunray before?
We have not. They're a new company that moved up to Sandpoint from Washington. We had a pre-con meeting with them last week. They seemed very informative and knew what they were doing. I walked the project with him. He was on it, had a lot of good questions. He already sent a list back to us on our recommendations and our requirements. He made notes of everything that we asked of him. So far, we're very pleased with him, but we have not worked with him as of yet. So hopefully it's a good company and it turns out to be a good project.
Okey doke, thank you.
Amy,
Nope, I'm good.
need a motion?
I would move that we direct council to approve an agreement with Sunray Enterprises for construction of a new water transmission main on Hedberg and Boyd Avenues for a total, with alternative bids of $389,489, and approval of a 10% contingency at $38,949. I'd also like to see this put on the agenda so that our pals from Public Works can ask their questions.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And I apologize about the presentation. I'm having some difficulty with that.
Do you want to run through it real quick, or we'll just see it at council when you come back?
Well, I was trying to flip through the pictures here while we were going along, but let me try this again.
Will this make us change our minds?
I don't think so. I just got some information of the borderline that's going on too. It's just not going through them. There we go. It's not bringing up, my apologies. This is the basic transmission line and the line where it's going to lay. There's a couple other lines that are going to stub out here just to help with the circulation, and the services are going to be replaced on Hedberg and Boyd through here. This is the pressure zone along the whole area. Let's go in again. There we go. Okay, my apologies. So that's the main project. That's where the main will sit. And then the services that are going to be replaced are going to be along here. The 10% contingency is mainly for this area here because we have a couple of lines here. There's a high and low pressure zone there with dual mains. We just want to make sure that everything's the way the map says it's supposed to be. And we just want to make sure we don't run into any problems. This is the whole boosted zone within the area. So ultimately, like I was talking about, splitting that zone, when we get the second booster station in and another tank somewhere up in this location, we could split this section off with a second booster, and then the Elm Street will continue to take this section here. And then this entire lower section is the plan to get removed with that transmission line.
No, some of that's outside the city limits.
Yes, some of it is outside the city limits. Not too much up there is. On this side, on Upper Harrison, it is. On this side, it's not.
Right. Cool.
That's existing booster, oh. There we go. That's existing booster station for Elm Street. And that's the bids. So any further questions? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Item number 2, approval of agreement with North Idaho College to provide school resource officer services for school year 2019-2010. Sergeant, okay?
Hello, my name is Shane Avert. I'm the Sergeant Supervisor of the School Resource Program right now with the Coeur d'Alene Police. Today I bring a proposed copy of the budget for the 2019-2020 contract with North Idaho College. On page 3 of the proposed contract, the only modification to the entire document is going to be under considerations, where the verbiage used to state in quote, which is yet to be determined. Now the sum amount is going to be for $89,000 as a cap. We have yet to come close to this in the past years. We've had a school resource officer there since the fall of 2014, but that's the only verbiage change in this contract proposal. Other than that, I will take any questions if you have any.
Okay, any questions? Okay. Need a motion?
Make a motion that council approve an agreement with North Idaho College to provide school resource officer services for school year 2019, 2020.
Second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, item number 3, approval of a one-day alcohol sales and consumption on Sherman Avenue right-of-way for the 5th annual Parking on Sherman event. John?
All right, so as it was alluded to, there is a request for one-day alcohol sales and consumption for the 13 to 1400 block of Sherman Avenue. That will take place on September 20th from 9 p.m. from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. There are 2 things on the agenda. I created one PowerPoint. So the first one here is the request. So, and this is very draft form right now, subject to change, but this is the location where the Sherman event would be. This would be the 5th annual. The planning department has taken the lead for 4 years. It's important to note that we have other members of the community that are starting to step up, which is great. They're going to help us, and over time, hopefully we can take less of a role in this as they celebrate their own neighborhood.
Can you go back? I'm still having trouble finding out where this is.
So this is the bicycle shop here and the
Oh,
new
okay.
cidery place
All right,
and Shedler Mac.
got it,
Insurance.
thanks.
Okay. And so we have served alcohol in times past. The first few years, we had a cordoned off beer garden area. It makes it very difficult to try and locate the stage and the beer garden area and still provide the fire lanes that we need. So with last year's request to be inside of a cordoned off area, that worked really well. It's a family-friendly event. There was no fights or problems. Everybody had a great time. There was about 1,800 people that showed up last year. We tried to load some drone footage, but it wasn't playing nice, so we'll have to skip that today. If there's any questions? There's a
questions?
description here of what the code is and how is it allowed, as well as the history of the event. There's a message in here from David Hagar supporting, as well as some conditions. No alcohol consumed in the right-of-way shall be, or all alcohol consumed in the right-of-way shall be in non-glass containers, and no hard liquor sales or consumption in the right-of-way.
So Sean, can you talk a little bit about the gates? So as the community enters the events, they're touch base with a staff, whether that be Coeur d'Alene PD, whether it be staff or volunteers, I should say.
Yes, there will be volunteers there. In years past, we've had 2 people at each gate, and that's to make sure that we count people on the way in, as well as ensure that alcohol doesn't leave the event.
Okay, so we'll have 3 gates this year.
Yes.
Okay.
Any questions? Need a motion?
I'll make a motion that council allow the sale and consumption of alcohol for 1 day within a fenced-off area of the Sherman Avenue right-of-way in conjunction with the Parking It on Sherman event on September 20th, 2019, from 4 to 9 p.m. at the 14th Street intersection, extending approximately mid-block from 1300 to 1400.
Second.
Any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you.
I just
Oh,
have one
go
comment
ahead,
on
go
this. I think this is a great event and a great opportunity for the community to get involved and learn more about East Sherman, and that's an important piece of this event, but more important, it's just a great community gathering and supporting food trucks, and there's been a dog parade before, live music, great event for kids, so I really encourage everybody to come out to it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
There's
you.
also a big educational event too, where we talk about things happening in the community.
Absolutely.
What's happening with East Sherman, as well as the comprehensive plan. That's coming.
Absolutely.
Okay, item number 4, approval of a temporary banners across Sherman Avenue right-of-way for Sherman event.
Okay,
Go
thank
ahead,
you, Ron.
buddy.
As was mentioned, there's a request to approve a temporary banner to hang across the 1600 block of Sherman to advertise the event that we were just talking about. This event would be on Friday, September 20th from 4 to 9 p.m. So this is the location that's being requested. There are a couple of poles here. If you remember last year, this pole wasn't necessarily up to snuff at the time. That pole has been replaced, and it will hold the banner across the street. You can recognize this block. This is where we had the party parking on Sherman last year with the angled parking and some temporary curbing and a parklet down here for people to enjoy food and sun outside of moontime. And here is a picture of that banner while it was up. And as mentioned, this pole has been replaced with something more sturdy and engineered to hold the banner. That would conclude my staff report. If there's any questions.
Okay, any questions?
Banner's not gonna blow down, right?
It should not, no. And I do have the application for the sign that I'm filling out right now for the sign permit itself.
Okay.
Okay, need a motion?
I would move that council approve the allowance of a temporary banner to hang across Sherman Avenue right away at the 1600 block for up to 1 month, to advertise a one-day parking it on Sherman event, which will take place on Friday, September 20th from 4 to 9 p.m.
Second.
Any questions?
Nope.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, done.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else? Okay. Meeting adjourned.